Welcome to Progressive Retail. I'm your host, Cory Mosley. Today, I sit down for an exclusive interview with Stephane Ferri, Southeast Divisional Vice President of Sales for Cox Automotive. We're going to be discussing disruption and how to ensure your dealership survives and thrives in the future. Let's get started. Stephane, thanks for joining the show today.
Thank you, Cory. I really appreciate you having me.
So, okay, we know you guys are, king of data now,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
There's just
yeah.
so much absorbed in there. So there's really this play to constantly pump out what consumer behavior is, what's going on in the marketplace, because we hear different things. So that question becomes, everybody wants to disrupt. So here are my favorite keywords. My favorite words are disruption,
Yes.
game changers.
Yes.
Like these are all attribution, transparency. Like these are all the words out there. So
Right.
I guess my opening question is, when we talk about disruption, what's really, as the watchers and aggregators of so much data, what's really going on in the marketplace with dealers?
Yeah, that's a great tee off. Thank you for asking it. I really think.
You're welcome.
Appreciate it. So the best part is what I think the opportunity is. If you look at other retailers, because automotive tends to lag
Sure.
behind
Agreed.
The other clients, but
Right.
look no further than Sears. At one time, 50% of the United States had a Sears credit card.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and at one time, 2% of the gross domestic product was
One company.
one company, a
Well, Sears.
131-year-old company, and it's just now started to slide.
Right.
Where we start to see store closings.
Right. Where you don't even, Sears is not even on my shopping. I couldn't tell
When's
you
the
where.
last time you walked into one?
Right, I couldn't tell you where one was. I believe there is one somewhere in my city.
Right.
I have no clue where it is. It's not even in my top of mind. I had a Sears card at like 18.
Yeah.
So I went through that whole cycle, but I couldn't tell you where anyone is.
Gone now.
Right.
Right? Off
Right,
the grid.
right.
So Nordstrom's, you're familiar with
Oh,
Nordstrom's?
one of my favorite brands.
Awesome. So they invested in 2014 in a company called the Trunk Club.
Yep.
In order to bridge the gap between online and offline.
Right.
Dealers have brick and mortar facilities, so does Nordstrom's, so does Sears. They also have inventory.
Right.
It's just a lot, it doesn't weigh as much, but costs just as much per pound,
Right, sure.
So they've figured out a way in 2014 to grow their sales over 150%.
Wow.
In 2015 and in 2016, over 100% growth. And now they're bigger than Gap, who is their biggest competitor.
And that's really like, what that boils down to for me is like getting it.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, there's been a bunch of movies made, like a bunch of Steve Jobs movies, right? But the one I always talk about is one called The Pirates of Silicon Valley. It was a TNT special of the week.
Right.
And in it, there's a saying where the guy who's playing Bill Gates, he says, he had just come out of the meeting with IBM.
Yeah.
So the framework is, they had the meeting, and he's like, hey, I just want to be able to license my software to you. And everybody laughed, and they're like, oh, the money's in the PCs. And Steve Ballmer, I love this part of the movie, he says, you think they're going to go for it? And Bill Gates' character says, success is a menace. It convinces smart people that they can't lose.
Wow, wow, powerful.
And I think that's immediately what I thought of
Yeah.
when you start talking about that. When you think of the blockbusters and you think
Right.
of, because all those ideas weren't new. Somebody inside most of those companies had the idea, took it to somebody who said, who's going to want to do that? No, let's stay the course. No, let's keep things the way they are.
Let's keep it easy.
Right, yeah, let's keep it simple. Don't rock the boat.
No disruption allowed.
Right. No disruption allowed, right?
No
Then
disruption
you go
allowed.
from no disruption allowed to disruption imminent, right?
Right.
To now in the
Right.
marketplace.
So I look at dealers, just like you do with dealers, right? We call them clients
Sure.
because we try to develop even closer relationships. And one of the things we're trying to get them to go do is into digital retailing. The opportunity to get the consumer closer
Right.
to the dealership.
Right.
Blake Nordstrom, in a quote he said in Wall Street Journal, said, listen, consumers don't have time to shop. We need to create more time for them to shop.
Right.
So the same should be necessarily true for digital retailing, right?
Right, and I think you have to, using Nordstrom as the same guide, I spend a lot of money at Nordstrom, but they also recognize too that they have to protect their salespeople. So this erosion online, so now what my guy, who I deal with locally, now they created an app where I almost shop through, it's almost like a MLM Like I shop through him via the website, so he's able to still get credit, and you know, they're allowed to bring things to my home and different. So they found other ways
to make it work.
Right. Now, people talk about Nordstrom, people because they're well known in the industry. Everybody wants to be the Ritz-Carlton.
Yeah.
Like, but really, what is the? I mean, what's the top concerns? What should a dealer be very, very afraid of? Meaning, man, I need to get in gear on this.
Well, Cory, I will tell you that there are 2 million people today in the United States that can afford a car and insurance and choose not to. So they are going with different means, ride share, Lyft, all the others. I mean, they're all out there.
Right.
Tesla on their Model 3 took 400,000 deposits.
Right.
In the
You're
first
speaking
3
blasphemy
months.
to some people who are watching my show
I know,
right now,
but
right?
Listen, I know you well enough to know that you care about clients.
Sure,
so
absolutely.
our job is really to make sure that they really understand the threats that are out there.
Yeah.
And so just doing these little things like digital retailing and understanding how consumers want to purchase their next deal.
Now, how are you defining that? Because I've heard digital retailing, I'll put that in the category with disruption and all the other stuff, game changers, digital retailing. That's a big umbrella.
Right.
How do you define that, or how should the dealer be thinking about that in his mind?
Great question. I think it's, at Cox Automotive, we have 3 different programs of it. So just think of it just kind of like football, right? We have a junior varsity, we got a varsity, and we got college football.
Right, sure.
And college football is actually having the deal. You can have it delivered all the way to the client's home if you choose.
Right, sure.
Or is it a payment calculator with actually easier payments? But no matter what, you should be doing one of the 3.
Right.
No matter what, because consumers. If everybody wants to have discussion and dialogue about leads,
right.
I said, why don't you deal with deals and not leads?
Right.
Because here's an opportunity for people that want to transact and have a better opportunity to make the process go a little faster.
Well, I think ultimately, I mean, you share some of the empathy. And I'll be honest with you, and I've said this on the show, I go between empathy and anger, meaning from the dealer perspective.
Right.
Because there's things I see happening that I'm like, this just makes no sense. Like, why are we allowing this happen? On a previous show, I covered the idea that I had a person who is paying for themselves to go through our online training because the dealer banned training.
Wow.
I want you to let that sit in for a minute. So those things make me angry, and then I get empathetic when I think about all the decisions that have to be made inside the dealership, the manufacturers and what they want them to do, the customers and what they want them to do, the employees, the town, the city, the state, the regulations. So I have empathy there, and I think you share it that way too. As they get down the path, because they're continuously bombarded with latest and greatest and things that are going to change, and you got to be where the customer is. Do you think sometimes, though, in an effort to try to do everything, the jack of all trades mentality sits in? So in an effort to do everything, we lose our ability to do some of the core things the best we can.
Yeah, I think that is quite possible. But what I really think our clients should really be focused on is the opportunity to bridge and understand from other like clients and retailers that are closer to what they are doing, and make sure that they're not falling behind. Because listen, market share is going to come and go. And whether you like to change or not, there's somebody like a competitor that is willing to change.
My favorite line, one of my favorite lines, I close a lot of my presentations with this. Those who hate change will hate irrelevance a lot more.
Yeah, I love that quote.
Yeah. So that to me is always the driver. Now, cap this off for me. Bring this home.
Yeah.
I'm a dealer right now. I'm watching this.
Yeah.
Because I am convinced more than just my mother and wife watch my show, right? And at least you now. You'll watch at least your episode. I'm watching this. I'm trying to invest. I want to do the right thing. I have not met a dealer that said, you know what, Cory, we love pissing off our customers. We love delivering a terrible customer experience. Nothing excites me more than to blow deals. That's not the natural conversation, right?
Correct.
So for the people that are saying, you know what, I genuinely want to do the right thing, but there's so much coming at me. You know, what's kind of that core thing that I really have to check the box on right now? What's your data showing? On the right now, and then I'll ask you to follow up.
I'm going to give you 2 things.
Okay, go ahead.
2 things. One is we host the largest sales force in the United States across Cox Automotive. And I will tell you, we don't do anything without our people. And I would tell our clients first and foremost, is to get closer to their team members.
Agreed.
Because their team members can bring in resources. We were just in East Texas yesterday, and we met with a great dealer group, 14 stores, and they didn't have an idea of what we could bring. And after we left, it was a great call. But what I would say is, if it wasn't for our account consultant who said, hey, listen, let me bring in some other people, the resources, I want them to be aware of the resources and then work together to make a plan. When Colonials came to the United States, you know what they did to all those ships?
History lesson.
Yeah. What did they do?
You tell me.
They burned the ships because they didn't want them to go back.
Right.
So what I would tell every client is to make sure whatever the plan is, burn the ships.
Right.
Make a commitment to moving forward.
All right, so I asked this question to everybody. Final question for today,
Yeah.
and I thank you for hanging out. I ask everybody to go in their crystal ball. Now, you have an advantage because you have this conglomerate that gets to see all this data and can predict the future, right?
Yeah.
But I want you to go into your personal crystal ball and tell me what you see in the future, in the near future, for the automotive retail business.
My crystal ball would tell you that there are going to be dealers, if you're just a historian of automotive, I like history of automotive. We go in 10-year peaks and valleys. The last 6 years, we've been on a new car high.
Right.
Guess what? Used, same, 6 years. So if you're a believer in history, we got about 4 more years to ride.
Right.
Don't be scared to make changes now to set yourselves up for the leaner years. Right now, all of our clients should be doing everything that they can to make everything that they can. But don't make the changes when the times are the toughest.
Right.
And I would think right now is the time to invest. It takes 6 months to implement great process changes in a dealership.
Sure.
Don't be scared of training and educating your people.
Right.
Right?
And I didn't tee that up. I didn't tee that one up.
No, but it's real
true.
sensitive
It's so
to
true.
me. It's
Yeah,
sensitive
it's so true.
because if you're not investing in your people, you really don't have anything to go on.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So it all begins there. That's what I say.
Excellent.
Yes.
Well, listen, I thank you for coming. I know
Yeah.
you just flew in, and I appreciate you coming by to
Glad
do
to
the
be
show.
here. Thank you for the invitation.
And we're going to have you. I want to get this official insight. This Stephane says a couple times a year, so I'll have
Perfect.
you back.
I'd love to be
All right?
back. Thank you, Cory.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, that's our show for today, but here's a question. Why aren't you and your team training with me? You need to check out our on-demand training, testing, and certification program, Mosley 24/7. This online training system equips your team with the new school skills they need to start selling more cars right now. Visit Mosley247.com for more information. Also, if you have an industry colleague that could benefit from this message, please share this video with them. This has been another episode of Progressive Retail with Cory Mosley, exclusively on the CBT Automotive Network. I'll see you next week.